Are you or a loved one disabled? Do you feel alone, lost, and confused as to how to win your Social Security case? If you're watching this video, it's probably because you have so many questions and you're desperately looking for the answers. Hi, my name is Avi Leibovic, and I'm the owner at Benefits for All and the lead attorney at Avi Leibovic Associates. Over the course of my 20-year career, I've overseen the processing and screening of over 500,000 disability cases, working with the largest hospitals, neighborhood clinics, primary care physicians, and even individuals who had no access to care at all. My strategies for how to win the case have made me one of the top experts in Social Security law in the entire nation. My life and my career were going great. And then one day it all came crashing down. It started first with some abdominal pains. And before I knew it, I'd been admitted to the hospital several times and I required multiple surgeries. I found myself unable to work and disabled and in desperate need of my own benefits. I understand exactly how you feel. I was in your shoes. And I'm going to take you through the process and help you and give you everything that I know so that you can win your case. I'm recovered and I'm back at work. And I have a newfound passion for helping disabled people because I myself have been there too. Call our office today for a free screening and to see how we can help you with your Social Security case. At the same time, enjoy these videos and webinars that we've prepared to you to help you understand how to win your Social Security case.
Hi everyone, this is Avi Leibovic and you're watching another amazing webinar brought to you by Benefits for All, where we teach you how to win your Social Security disability case without having to pay the cost of an expensive attorney. I'm standing in Summerdale, Alabama. The topic for today is going to be due process, right? Due process. You see behind me, I'm driving along the road on my way to Alligator Alley, right? I'm in Alabama. I just came out of New Orleans, Louisiana, through Mississippi, now in Alabama. And you know, for a guy from Los Angeles, we're not really used to crocodiles or alligators. So when I see something, you know, a location, an attraction, a tourist spot that catches my eye called Alligator Alley, I gotta go check it out, right? I mean, how often do I get to see an alligator in California or in New York for that matter? Not that often. So I'm driving along and I drive past this beautiful field of cottonwood trees. And I see that some of it has been picked, some of it has not been picked. As you can kind of see a little bit from over here, these will be picked soon. And these are cotton. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. We don't have this again on the two coasts, California and New York. And as I saw this, I really remembered where I was at, because as I was looking at the map the other day, Alabama, places that I want to go to, they have Selma, Alabama, where we had Martin Luther King, where he did the famous walk, and we look back at the dark chapters of our history in American history, and we looked at how the African Americans were enslaved and forced to work on fields, cotton fields, picking cotton, picking other items off of a field, and the harvest and things like that. And we look at that history and we recognize that there were many, many years in the American history where not everyone was treated equal. There were many years in American history where not everyone was entitled to rights, right? Whether it was African Americans, whether it was women, right? More recently, we've seen changes in the posture of the court in terms of extending due process rights for civil liberties to the LGBT community and other communities as well. And we're seeing before our eyes through the 5th and 14th Amendment, right, which deal with you know, civil rights. We're seeing 5th for the federal government and the 14th for the state government. We're seeing before our eyes how the law is changing, how the world is changing, and how we're adapting, you know, the laws to change together with the world so that the law stays current, the law stays up to date. And as I passed through this field and I thought about our history, it wasn't just Selma that's nearby here that I wanted to see, but there's a couple of actual plantations. And I thought I would stop over there and kind of check those out, and we'll kind of see, see how that goes. But again, the reason I stopped here is because we want to talk about due process rights. More than anything else in the world, when I speak to a client and they call me up and they say, I need your help, they always tell me the same story. It's not fair, it's not fair, it's not fair, and it's not fair. Social Security didn't treat me with respect. Social Security didn't give me notice. Social Security cheated me out of this. Social Security cheated out of me out of that. They sent me my letter, my denial letter, but it was stolen out of my mailbox. They sent me the letter, it was in another language. They sent me the letter and it was addressed to the wrong person who doesn't even live in my building. And then they went ahead and they used that wrong addressed letter to count on me. It's not fair. Mr. Leibovic, it's not fair. I went to the hearing with the judge, and the judge, he didn't even let me speak. It's not fair. I went there and the judge held against me the fact that I was previously arrested. And he didn't treat me with respect. He didn't let me speak because he said that I'm a convict or, someone on parole and I'm not entitled to the same rights. Where does that come from? Mr. Leibovic, I need your help because, I went to court today and the court, he postponed the hearing for me to get another attorney because he felt that he wasn't going to accept these medical records because they weren't complete or they weren't, turned the right way in the copy machines. I wanted to submit, it's not fair. I wanted to submit some new medical evidence. He said the record is closed. It's not fair, it's not fair, it's not fair, and it's not fair. I can think of a million different things of reasons why people have come to me and said it's not fair. I submitted it untimely, but really it was timely because the fax machine wasn't working and I couldn't get it in and I couldn't get a fax receipt and I couldn't get a postage, but I'm telling you, I submitted it right. So when I think about the words it's not fair, I really come to the words justice. When I think of the words justice, I come to, again, to fairness and equality. When I think of fairness and equality, I think of due process. I think of the 5th and 14th Amendment. When I think of due process, I think of, again, the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag, the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well, we're on benefits for all because we feel that in order for you to get your benefits and make sure that the proper decisions were made, we need to make sure that you have justice for all. Everyone has justice. I don't care if you're a man or if you're a woman. I don't care if you're old or you're young. I don't care if you're white or African American or some other ethnicity. It doesn't matter to me. We need to make sure that the process is fair. We need to make sure that Social Security did everything that they need to do and that they did it according to the law. Whether it's in New York, whether it's in California, whether it's in Alabama, whether it's in New Mexico, whether it's in Maine, whether it's in Kansas. I've met so many different managers over the years at different district offices or different ODARs who feel that they have their own little world that they can do whatever they want to do. And I've met so many judges who they feel that when they're in their courtroom, they're God and they can do whatever they want to do. They can ignore the rules, they can ignore the laws, they can ignore the procedures, they can ignore the Administrative Law Act, they can ignore the POMS, which is the Procedural Operating Manual, right? They can ignore the HALIXs, which are the rules that the judges follow. They just ignore it and ignore it and ignore it, and they say, what are you going to do? So I want to tell you, I've made a career out of representing claimants who've been treated unfairly by the Social Security Administration. And I don't back down. If anything, when I feel that something is wrong, I speak up calmly. And I speak up respectfully, but I speak up firmly. And if the judge is going to push me a little bit more, then I'm going to speak a little bit more. And I'm going to speak a little bit more. And then I'm going to speak a little bit more until I'm right in their face. Not in a violent way, not in a confrontational way, just in a way that's respectful and making sure that the law is being implemented fairly across the boards and according with the rules, regulations, and procedures that have been laid out again from the Administrative Law Act, and actually under federal law, and in some cases under state law. So why do I tell this to you? Right? I want to wrap this up because I want to actually go to Alligator Alley. I talk this to you because you're sitting at home and you're trying to think about, well, who's in my corner? I bought this webinar because I want to represent myself. I bought this webinar because I want to save some money. I bought this webinar because I don't want to spend 25% or $6,000 to pay for my back benefits out to my attorney. But I want to make sure that I'm treated with respect, unlike the slaves who had to pick the cotton, unlike the other slaves who had to do whatever needed to be done on the plantation, were treated with no rights, no dignity, no respect. Benefits for All is here to make sure that you receive the dignity, the respect that you deserve, to make sure that you receive the due process that you are entitled to make sure that you do not lose your benefits or that your benefits are not kept from you because some individual, some state actor, some federal actor, whether it's in the district office or the ODAR or the judge, him or herself, just because they feel that their head is a little bit too big, a little bit too swollen from arrogancy or from conceit or too pompous, that it's got to go their way. It doesn't work like that. I have so many stories, friends, that have to do with fee petitions as to when judges want the fee petitions and when they don't want them, on the record decisions, whether they should be approved, whether they shouldn't be approved, requests for postponements, requests for continuations, requests to keep the records open, requests to recognize, testimony, credible testimony, requests to strike from the record irrelevant exhibits or evidence that's been submitted dealing with drug or alcohol use or arrests or things that are not fairly done. I've had so many requests that I've made that have been met with resistance, that have been met with a wall. And what do? I just keep hitting harder and harder and harder and harder until we break through that wall and we implement the law, even if it means I got to go to court to get a court order to force that government actor to perform their non-discretionary, right? Their non-discretionary, non-arbitrary duty. They have a job to do. They have a job to do, and the rules are laid out for how the job must be done. This is when a notice is mailed out. This is when you can accept a case or an appeal. This is when payment must be made by. This is how the payments are made. This is how there are rules. This is not a free-for-all. We're not in a bar. We're not in a soccer match where, people are just going crazy. We're not in a football game. There are rules. And all these webinars on the side are just filled with law and regulations and procedures and process. And you listen to them. And if you think there's a problem and something's not going right, you can start basic. You can just Google it, look up the law. You can go on the website and download. Perhaps we have a webinar on it. If we don't, then send me an email and I'll make a webinar right on that topic. Just send me an email. Dear Mr. Avi, dear Mr. Leibovic, I watched your webinar where you're standing by the cotton field. Tell me, in Alabama, I was watching there, and you said I need due process, and you said I could send you an email to make a webinar on a certain topic. Send me the email, okay? Avi at andbenefitsforall.com. Avi, A-V-I, at andbenefitsforall.com. Ask me your question. You will get a response. You will get a webinar. And we're going to make sure that things are done fairly. And justice for all. You have to close your eyes and you have to imagine that. As I go through this country and I look at the, USS Alabama, the warship, and I look at the different aviation places that have the military planes, and I look at the different forts over the years that have been preserved as national landmarks for when we fought for our rights, when we fought for freedom to free ourselves from the English, to set up a Bill of Rights and then to set up a U.S. Constitution. And how lucky we are now to our dear, dear friends in military who protect those rights all over the world, wherever they go. They're protecting our rights to make sure that we are treated fair and square. Equality for all. If that's not happening, you let me know. And I'm going to come down, I'm going to help you out. Okay? Personally. If I'm able to. I think I will be able to. In the meantime, you can do it, have faith. Don't be afraid, be respectful. Don't get angry, don't get confrontational, don't start cursing, don't start raising your voice, don't start waving your hands. I have clients who were escorted out of offices by the bailiffs in cuffs because they disagree with the judge and they weren't able to communicate and articulate their ideas in a calming, articulate manner. Pick up the phone, you call the supervisor, you pick up the phone, you speak to the manager of the office, you pick up the phone, you speak to the judge's clerk. You introduce yourself, you give them your social security number, you tell them politely what's the problem, you advise them what you understand the law to be, and you ask for explanation why the office or the action that was taken was not in compliance with the law. Okay? It's going to be great. And then from there, we'll take it from there. Email me. My name is Avi Leibovic. www and Benefits for All. I was speaking last night by a landmark at one of the welcome centers. As you know, I've been going through the States, and in evenings you want to pull over by a welcome center, maybe use the facilities over there, get a drink, stretch your legs. And I did one of these webinars where I gave the breakdown of the states and the win-losses and stuff like that. And I want to tell you something. I didn't send a press release that I was going to be there. I mean, who cares? Who am I going to send a press release to? Who cares if I'm there or not? I didn't tell anybody that this is the topic I'm going to talk about, and I didn't ask the audience, does anyone want me to talk on something special? I just set up my camera like I'm doing now. I put on my mic, I sat over here, and I gave the famous, hey, this is Avi Leibovic, and you're watching another one of the amazing webinars brought to you by Benefits for All. And you know what happened? An amazing thing happened. One person started listening, and then another person started listening, and then another person started listening. Before you know it, a crowd of people just listening, and no one said a word. They're listening, absorbing, marinating, digesting, understanding. And as soon as I hit stop on the recorder, there was a long line of people asking me, can you help me? I need help. My sister needs someone, my friend needs someone. When can we get your help? And I told them, just wait. Give me 30 days, 60 days. I'm on the middle of a project. I got to go through the whole United States. I got to get this stuff done, but it's coming. And when I explained to them what I was trying to do, which is set up webinars, which will allow people to go ahead and learn the administrative law process, the Social Security disability process on their own, at least 2 people said to me, man, I wish I knew about this 2 years ago. I applied for benefits 2 years ago, and I didn't have an attorney. I didn't know what to do, and I was just so lost, it was impossible. Well, now you have the chance. You think of Selma, you think of Martin Luther King, you think of Alabama, you think of the cotton field. Let's take a look. You get a sense of how enormous this is, the cotton field. For 1 second, you could see here, it just keeps going and 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 going. I mean, you need a lot of people to pick all that cotton, or some type of machine, or some type of strategy, or some type of farming tip. How are you going to collect all that? How are you going to do it? Well, we're not here to talk about collection. We're not here to talk about the industry of cotton. We're not here to talk about wages and work hours under state and federal law. We're here to talk about you and applying for Social Security disability benefits. My name is Avi Leibovic, Benefits for All. If you trust me, and if you have faith in yourself, again, I'm not a doctor, and I cannot tell you if you're disabled or not. I trust that you've had that conversation with your doctor. I also go ahead, and on many of the webinars I say to someone, I'm not saying that you necessarily should represent yourself. You may not physically be up to it. You may be tired, shortness of breath, fatigued, the medications are on you, the pain might be too much. There could be a million reasons why you physically can't do it or mentally and emotionally can't do it. So I'm not saying that you should. You should get someone to help you, whether it be a friend, whether it be a family member, whether it be a social worker, whether it be someone who's in a clinic, whether it's someone who is familiar as an attorney or someone who's familiar as a non-attorney representative. You should get someone to help you if you cannot physically do it. But I do tell you that if you do feel that you physically can do it, if you do feel that you mentally can do it, if you do feel that you emotionally can do it, and if you watch these webinars, I will help you win your Social Security case without having to pay the cost of an expensive attorney. From Alabama, on our way to the Alligator Alley, straight from the cotton field. Again, I've given you my email address, avi@benefitsforall.com. If you have a question, if you have a concern, if you feel that justice was not being implemented, well, just like in Alabama, just where Martin Luther King went ahead in Selma and he continued on with his fight for equality, he continued on with his fight for due process and for fairness and for equity, to all men and women and to all nationalities and ethnicities, write me an email, let me know where your problem is, and I'm going to come there, I'm going to help you out. Okay? Until next time, I wish you all the best. I hope you feel well, and I'll speak with you soon. Thank you very much.